Welcome back to Adventures with Cookie and the Cowboy.
I'm Cookie.
Bucky. I'm the Cowboy Pirate.
Boy, Cowboy, we sure picked a beautiful spot for our 7-day camping trip.
Sure did. 7 days boondocking in the Sawtooth with our RV. What a great time.
But you know, I've heard rumor that we're sitting right in the middle of gold country.
It's gold in them da hills. Well, back with another one, eh?
You know what? It's our anniversary. I think you need to find me some gold.
How many years?
34.
34 years. Ought to be able to get out the Garrett gold pan, maybe the Nugget Bucket. Go find us some gold up in the Yankee Fork mining district. Why don't you cinch that saddle down tight, hop in the pirate boat, head out on another adventure with us.
Let's do it. Yankee Fork. See if we can find the old gold dredge. Oh, tours, Custer Ghost Town. Cool. This used to be the Wild West.
Alright, so for this spot right here, there's a couple of beds of gravel in there I'm going to work. It's a lot easier to work it with a screening system. I just carry this really simple one. It's called the Nugget Bucket. It's just really coarse grade screening. But it works okay to just give you a check and to see what's going on. Sets up really quick and easy, if I remember how. Got a couple of parts there. That bucket, the smaller one inside of there, is just meant to throw your shovelfuls of gravel into to be worked. Then you've got a collection pan down in here. This collects all the black sands and the gold bearing material. Set that in the bottom. You got this strainer system, sets up over top of it. That directs it in there. And then you got a couple of filters that you can check. If you happen to be in big nugget country, this will help you sort that out. But small filter in, big filter in. Make sure the rocks are out of it good from previous use. Like that. Like that, and then go get you some rock stuff to pan out. So a little bit ago I panned in a section right out there off of that log where there's some coarse dropout. It had some flour gold and a couple of flakes. I'm going to go right along this bank here. I can see some black sands in here. Just a simple little easy place for me to try. That's quite a bit to work, but we're going to just run her through the coarse grain. Like that. And you just use the other bucket. I've about got this down to where I can throw the coarse rocks out. You notice all the water drains out the bottom. So it's a nice, just simple screening system. Take it up. I'm pretty much there. I can dump this one here. Now, if you're in coarse country where there are some big nuggets, you got to be careful about dumping your screens. You may want to check them. This isn't known for nuggets, so I'm gonna. However, there is a bit of, because I had that so full, there is a bit of sand down in there. But for what I'm doing, we're just playing around. Then you got your bottom screen. This is a good screen to watch if there happens to be garnets or other minerals, precious type stuff in there. You can sometimes catch them on this next screen. But all I see is leverites. You know what a leverite is?
Leave it right there.
Leave it right there. Pull out the filtration system. Give it a good clean. And then down in the bottom, you got a whole little pan full of pay dirt to play out.
Look how cool that works. That's pretty slick.
Yeah, that's a pretty slick way to do it for just a real simple coarse grade thing. Let's get my pan and test it. All right, so we got a good old pan full of pay dirt here to work. I'm not really professional at this. I'm a rookie, even though I've been doing it for a fair number of years. Geology education 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years, 30 years ago. Anyway, I was a geologist a long time ago. Now I just do it for fun. That's about as much as I dare work though. We're gonna get pretty aggressive with it. Try and knock that core stuff off to start with. Now some of you might say I might lose a big nugget that way, but gold has a dang good habit of sticking down in the bottom. It's real heavy compared to everything else. Doesn't mean you can't get ridiculous in this process, but you can see that core stuff working its way to the top as I'm doing that. Getting most of that core stuff out. Now you can see mostly black sands now, so I'm going to ease up now and I'm going to rinse all that over. Oh yeah, that's got a lot of black sands. Look at that, Picky.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I can see it sparkling.
Yeah, that's got more flowers of gold in it than the first pan I had out there, so that's encouraging. I can see that already. But I'm going to work it up the ripples of this Garrett pan. That'll help pull the rest of the coarse out. It comes over the top while the coarser gold settles in these grooves. It's one of the reasons why to check culverts. Same basic concept. Culvert kind of does this process right here. Oh yeah, that's a nice. That's much better than that first go. We might have something worth siphoning up here. Almost enough for a Big Mac to go with that ketchup. But hey, it's fun. Plus the water's nice and cool when it's hot like this. Oh yeah, look at that. That's some good pay dirt right there. Yeah, I'm going to work that a bit more. There's still quite a bit of red sand in there to try and do so. All right, so I've messed up my pan a little bit just so I can point out a really nice one in there. Nice one, it's relative, it's pretty small, but compared to what I was getting for flour, so I could still work this quite a bit and get this grains out. But right there, that's a pretty nice little piece for just messing around like I'm doing. And there's some flour gold scattered in there. It's got kind of covered in with the material, but that's nice. Gold, Cookie, gold. So I've got that worked down quite a bit more. There's a lot of flour gold up in here. There's one little tiny piece right there that's bigger than flour. You know, maybe enough to buy you the ketchup for your McDonald's French fries. Not much more than that, but it just means there's gold around. If you follow it, you can find it. Yeah, we stopped in here in all the dredge tailings by the dredge tailing ponds to get some lunch. Cookie can't resist herself. She see a few fish out there in these deeper holes in these dredge ponds, so she's got to give it a try for a minute.
So I had a ranger stop in. Very, very nice. Talked to him for quite a while. So they stock these dredge ponds with the steelhead and the chinook to acclimate them, and then they make their way into the river. Little fingerlings, right? Yeah. That's just little, little 2 or 3 inch fish. These are like 4 or 5 inches long. But he said somehow this didn't get blocked off correctly, and there's a whole group of chinook that went up the creek. I have some pictures that I'll show you in a minute. So he was just up there documenting that they accidentally went up instead of down to the river. And they could have been. He said they also put steelhead in here to acclimate them. They're meant to go down into the Salmon River. Yep. And they'll get there eventually. They'll get there. But right now they're just kind of wandering, aren't they? But he asked us if we had bear spray. When I said no, he gave me some bear spray, which makes me a little nervous. Yeah, we know there's bears up here. We just never really had any issues, so. We've kept a really clean camp, hauled our garbage out every day, but he wanted us to just be extra cautious, so I got my bear spray. That was really nice of him. You're not catching many fish, though. Wrong time of the day to probably catch them out of these little shallow ponds. Yeah. Okay, we've reached the Bonanza city.
and mining area. See a bunch of the old buildings. Still some intact. Some of them up here have actually been turned into summer homes. Don't exactly know the process of how you do that, but that one's pretty intact and had windows and doors, so that's a much more modern one. We're going to turn and go up this little road here and check out the cemetery and then work our way up to the dredge.
All right, we found the Bonanza Cemetery. So a lot of these have causes of death. They're pretty interesting. Some of them are just simply age-related. There's also things like meningitis. I saw a newborn. Somebody died in childbirth. There's a morphine overdose. There's a mine cave-in. Lots of spinal injury sustained from a horse fall. It's a dangerous place to be out here in the frontier. Well, we found this other little cemetery. This is called Boot Hill. A very touching little love story about Elizabeth, Lizzie, and Richard King. So there's a little bit of a strange, twisted kind of love story thing going on here, and some very mysterious deaths of all those involved. So according to this little sign, the people of Bonanza decided not to put their cemetery here, but down further, where I walked around the bigger cemetery, and they left this one up here all by itself.
This behemoth monster is responsible for all these dredge tailings for 5 or 6 miles or 9 miles, whatever it was. That is a big old girl. Ran till about 1952 before it was no longer really cost efficient to mine. There's been talks in the recent years about trying to dredge again, but that hits all sorts of environmental snags, so highly unlikely. But wow, what a beast they put together up here. Over $1,200,000 in gold and about 6 million cubic yards of gravel. It was shut down in 1952. They do offer active tours. It is supposed to be ADA compliant. I don't know that. Probably just to get down there to the end. I can't imagine going inside of it would be, but my bride's in there. She'll tell me in a second. Looks like there's daily self-guided tours. $5 for an adult, $1 for children 6 to 12, and pets can be on a leash in the area, which is kind of cool.
This is Custer City. They've taken the old schoolhouse and turned it into a museum. So let's go see what we can find. Looks like they've restored this little old schoolhouse, made it into a museum. All kinds of mining stuff laying around. Check it out. Pretty cool in here. All kinds of stuff. Can't even imagine cooking on something like this. There's a school desk. So most of the buildings are gone, but there was several hundred people in this town. And the buildings went up and down this main street. There are plaques that show where some of the buildings were. It's the saloon, and they've got an information center in there. And he was nice enough to tell us we could get some aerial footage with the drone. Well, this is a stamp mill. They used them to crush the ore into powder. And the little sign says at one time the General Custer Mill operated 20 1,000-pound stamp mills that crushed the ore as fine as flour. This was a family home, the Pfeiffer residence. Wow, look at the old newspaper they used for probably insulation. Old wallpaper. Probably the most important building here, I would guess. It's the assay office, where they would bring in their gold. I was reading on the sign out there that his office would have looked something akin to an apothecary with all kinds of bottles and ways to sample things. Wasn't just a matter of bringing in a bag of gold and having him weigh it. They had to make sure it was the real thing. Another home, a Mackenzie resident, Custer's finest. Apparently this was like the fancy home of the town. And you can kind of see why. It's very spacious. Bedrooms. Big great room, kitchen area. Very cool. It's actually pretty cool in here considering how hot it is outside. Over on the hillside is a collapsed mine.
Looking down Yankee Fork. Wow. That's some rough, rugged country. Down toward Custer. Well, that was a fun adventure. Found some gold, a little bit of color, nothing too exciting, but you know we could go back in there and work that a bit harder and find something maybe a little better, so that was kind of fun. Saw some great historic mining districts. Just know there's just all kinds of old relics and old mines and that you can explore out in that area and have a lot of fun. Fishing wasn't too good. I don't know that we even got a bite today. That was pretty tough. We're gonna have to work on that and improve that for sure, but hey, we are dead tired. That was a long drive and it was hot for being up in the forest, so we're gonna wrap her up, get some dinner ready, and see you tomorrow.